Hey, Ronan O'GARA is with us this morning. Ronan, good morning to you.
Hi, Ger. Hi, Shane. Good morning.
How are you?
Great, yeah. All good, thank you. Yeah.
You were back to work at the weekend. How did that feel?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, we had a great atmosphere. A lot of guys, I suppose, who don't start in the, shall we say, the cup final got game time. So it was an important game because even though there was nothing to play for, there was everything to play for because luckily we qualified in the top 2 for the top 14, which is obviously huge over here. So Saturday week we go to San Sebastian for a semi-final against either Lyon or Bordeaux. So there was obviously positions up for grabs after the final, and Stafford made changes as well, but we had a hard week partying, so the whole group did. So we were probably a little bit sluggish, but the attitude was fantastic. So 16,000 people, 80th time a sellout. So ground was hopping. Sunday night, 9 o'clock, the worst time possible for a game, but Monday was a bank holiday over here. So it ended up being a bit of a late night for everyone again, you know.
Right, so the celebrations rolled on, as well they should, because that's the important bit. I know there used to be a situation where the end of the season was the European Cup and everybody kind of dispersed, and it definitely would feel maybe a little bit better if that was still the case, but obviously in France it's not. That's why finishing in the top 2 is really important. It meant that you did actually get to properly enjoy the moment and revel in it.
Yeah, well, we did it last year obviously as well, you know, but then you're going to Toulouse away for a quarter final and without a week's rest. So it is a bit of a game changer in the fact that you're in really control of your planning, you know. So now what's ahead of us is hopefully 80 minutes and then another 80 minutes, and it's incredibly exciting because obviously after 12 minutes of the final things weren't looking good, and you know, I mean, obviously the margins are very small, but the difference between getting over the line and being, I suppose, etched in history is very, very different to being a finalist.
Yeah, etched in history though, like one of the literally all-time greatest European rugby teams. That's now, nobody can ever take that away from the group. Has that sunk in to everybody, to you?
No, not at all. No, I think because no matter, I think how experienced or how in control of your emotions you are on game day, when you watch the video it's completely different, you know. And we reviewed it with the team and we were so average, you know, so average in our performance. It was crazy, you know. Where we excelled obviously was probably in resilience and character and team spirit and willingness to fight, but in terms of execution, accuracy, executing plays, we were way off where we wanted to be because that wasn't the plan going into the game, you know.
What's going through your head running with that Leinster start? Because you're always calm on the sideline. Quinny even said that when he went over to one of your La Rochelle matches this season. Is your blood boiling inside, or are you still remaining calm despite the Leinster start?
No point your blood boiling, you know. I think what you want to try and do is that as good a first play as Leinster's was, it's still probably 2-on-2 with I mean, if you have your time back again, I think Carbarlo takes Jack Conan and Raymond Root slips onto Dan Sheehan. Dan Sheehan has the pace of a winger, that's for sure. But we made it a 2-on-1. Yeah, Leinster deserved to rip us apart with a brilliant special, shall we call it. But to score a try was probably, from my point of view, very, very soft and very disappointing. And then the second try, you know, it starts with probably a miscommunication from Leinster's point of view. I think they're trying to play Henshaw. They play low. He's running into 2 defenders, but we were weak enough in the tackle. They get quick balls. They were coming around the corner. Then on the third play, they I think pick out that Raymond Rule watches the man as opposed to if he watches the ball, the intercept. Keenan gets through the hole, recycle the ball, and Jimmy O'Brien scores in the right hand corner. It's 3 lightning quick ball, as they call it in the Crusaders, LQB, and they score, but we got to defend better than that. And then the third try is obviously we're attacking, they're defending like dogs. They've been obviously flying in at ruck time all day, and they win a penalty at ruck time from their outstanding defence. Gibson Park plays quickly. We, I think, adhere to the law really well, but Carbarlow is binned, and we probably have 4 defenders against 1 attacker down the short sides, and Gibson Park picks out a peach of a pass but poor defence, and they score in the corner 17-0, you know. But as I said to the boys, the only good thing in the boxes, the only good thing is that we still have 68 minutes left in this game, you know.
So you weren't obviously panicked at all. There didn't seem to be any panic from the players. Somebody said in the aftermath, I can't remember who, but like in the build-up, they were saying, "Oh, look, if we're 20-0 down, we're gonna under the post, just be calm." Did that was that just post-fact rationalisation, or did that happen in the build-up where you're like, "Oh, look, we're gonna"?
No, they did say, yeah, Greg did say it, but I don't know. He just picked that figure out of his head in the fact that, you know, I mean, if we're 20 points up or 20 points down, we're not going to play our game. But it's very easy to say, you know, when you don't appreciate, I suppose, the depth involved in that. But if it was me, you'd absolutely love to be 17 up as opposed to being 17 points down. There's no downside, there's no upside to being 17-0 down at that stage, you know. It's a shocking start, and we've been blown out of the water, and we knew they'd start fast, but I was thinking starting fast, you know what I mean, they might you know what I mean, have us under pressure, but like 3 tries to zip and looking like undergoing a steamroll us, because the 4th was probably not far off coming either. But thankfully we managed to shift the momentum live, which is difficult in sport to do.
How did you do it?
I think what we did was we managed to get a try with 14 men, which I think put a nice marker in the sand about that we're not going away. You know, I think the fact that Brice Doolan went in and played 9, and then obviously just Jonathan Dante did what Jonathan Dante's good at, running over people, running through people, and he scored a try out of nothing. You know, we had a bit of a move where it was meant to be backline against backline, where we were hoping to get Dante on a 1-on-1, but I think what happened was we gave Dante a 1-on-4, which means usually he should get tackled and the ball poached, penalty to Leinster. But like a lot of boys on the day, he wasn't too interested in seeking the refuge of the ground. He wanted to win the metre in front of his face, and not alone that he did that, but he pulled us back into the game, because 17-7, completely different game.
Can I talk to you a little bit about that? What a lot of boys on the day, obviously that's the experience, it's the talent, but it's also the emotion of the occasion and their decision that they wanted to become the team who was going to be an all-time great team. In the immediate aftermath of the game, you spoke about the few bits and pieces that had kind of upset the team, something on the journey in, the rooms being not exactly what you wanted, people treating La Rochelle like a little club, the stuff with Sean O'Brien at half time. Individually, none of this matters, right? You know, you deal with one little thing, the handshake at the toss as well. In retrospect, because I wasn't sure if any of this actually mattered, because it just felt like La Rochelle were the slightly better team and therefore deserved their victory. But now I realise that I'm kind of wrong about that actually the accumulation of 1,000 small things does matter as a whole. Am I reading that right?
No, I just think that people who are involved in at the top end of the game, they understand that these things happen, you know, but like a lot of it is completely blown out of proportion. You're talking about for example, Sean and myself had a little disagreement for literally 2 seconds, you move on, you know. There's none of this bust up or a Barney or anything like that. There's just a few difficult words between 2 guys who are competitors. that happens, you know what I mean? We shake hands at the end of the game and both of us apologise, and that's what's important. But I think no, we didn't actually use that as fuel at all, because I think you're getting distracted by what's very important. I think what I suppose comforted me but watching the review of the game was what I felt live, is that there was only ever going to be one winner, I think, but we made such hard work of it. We dominated the game, but we couldn't, in the second half, they couldn't get out of their 22, so for me it was just frustrating why and I have to find out why we were, I suppose, a little bit inaccurate as opposed to where I wanted the team to be.
You mentioned to our own Aisling O'Reilly after the match, Ronan, about the small incident or small cohort of Leinster fans on the bus journey in, kind of riling the players up, and maybe the players using that within the game. What exactly happened there with the Leinster fans in advance of the match?
No interest. It's in the past. It's dead. Over.
But does that type of thing not rile the players up?
Maybe in the moment, but 5 seconds later there's a new play, there's a new call. You got to stay on your job, stay focused. What's my job? How am I going to execute this? I think that's what really pleases. The atmosphere was incredible. I think the La Rochelle fans who travelled really added to it. It never felt like there was 3,000 or 5,000 French fans. It was such a good atmosphere. Obviously we were completely outsung and out chanted by the Leinster fans, but there's a particular massive satisfaction when you get the job done in an environment like that. It will be never in a European Cup final, I suppose, so lopsided in terms of a home ground for the opponents, and for the boys to go 17-0 down and to manage to pull that out speaks volumes to where their, I suppose, motivation levels are.
Yeah, so I think what I'm trying to get at here is that all of these little things add up to a sense of being underdogs, despite the fact that, like, you're the European champions with world-class players. Is that the bit that's important, where you kind of try and, so you're not getting distracted by it, but it's mood music as opposed to it being foregrounded? I can't believe that something happened here, or look what's happened. You don't do that, but like, it's just a general, all right, these are the rules of engagement for this situation.
Yeah, but I think it's also very important what you explain as the leader to your players, what the reality is, what their perception is. There's some players in Ireland that are extremely highly regarded within the country. Outside of the country, that opinion would not be the same. There's the same with players in France that are extremely well regarded. Outside of France, they may not be that high regarded. What I have an advantage is that I know a lot of those Irish players. I know a lot of the French players. I know Ger Shane, and I think he's a fantastic player. But no one in probably the Aviva probably knows who Ger Shane is. I'm sorry, that's wrong to say. They know, but I don't think they understand how good this player is, because I coach him every day. I see him every day in the training pitch. I see what he can do. I can see with Dante. I can see with Ascoy. I can see with Doolan. I can see with Rule. I can see with Antonio. I can see with Skelton. I can see with Wardy. I can see with Bugaret. I felt we had the ingredients to do something. I told the boys in the build-up to the game, I don't expect a close game. I think that gave them confidence, and I think at 17-0, there was still that belief that if we get our stuff together, we can do this. And what is incredibly pleasing is that they stayed on task, even with so many inaccuracies and people say, what are the inaccuracies? We score 3 points, we receive a kickoff, we knock the ball on, we completely release all the pressure and advantage Leinster. How many mauls did we not get the ball back off, even though the maul won us the game, because we took Leinster's legs completely? They were drunk after 60 minutes. I think the most bizarre stat in the last 20 years has been the fact that they passed the ball, I think, 11 times, their whole backs in total.
Yeah, we'll get you back there now. Sorry, that over the course of the game. Oh, your audio's gone there, Ron. You need to unmute yourself, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go, we're back. Sorry,
Okay, yeah.
you were saying
Sorry.
the stat was 11 times in the whole game.
Yeah, so like Leinster didn't play anywhere near Leinster's game, which means the pressure they were under, they couldn't get out of their 22. They couldn't exit, and then we were launching attack after attack after attack. So, we have to look at ourselves to kind of go, well, why aren't we converting more of these promising attack situations? But I think also you have to understand we're playing against a cracking team, and we also had to start 17-0 down. But the goal for our next final will be, and the next final for us as a semi-final will be, to start the game at 0-0, as opposed to giving a team a huge lead.
That would help. That would definitely help. What lessons have you learned? Don't go 17-0 down, lads, and think it'll be much better for us.
Exactly. You get, you get one life like that,
Obviously, the pressure on both sides was really intense. Like in the ground, it felt really tense. Even when it was 17-0, the Leinster fans were like, "This just isn't quite big enough."
Yeah, okay, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel any pressure the game day. I was pretty chilled. I think a lot of our players, maybe too chilled, in fact, if you look back at it and kind of go, okay, these guys are going to start fast, but that's the actual world-class definition of what a starting fast looks like and executing. So, there's good messages for us to take from that, that's for sure.
The motivation.
In terms of pressure around the ground or feeling them, I suppose, thankfully I don't feel how a Leinster supporter feels,
There was a great line from you in the build-up, Ronan. You were saying, asking the players who would you bring on your Everest with you, which I thought was brilliant, because it gave them that extra motivation. I think you had said you were bringing your mother Joan with you, and that was clear from the post-match celebrations on the pitch as well. Family and La Rochelle are two words that are just so linked. It was clearly a motivation for the players.
I suppose you're just trying to tell a story or set a scene where you're going into the Lions' Den. They're all going to be against you, and I think that's where good players become great. I always said it to the boys in Thomond Park. I said, it's easy to play well here, boys, but when you go to France or when you go to London or where you go to the Millennium Stadium, when you go to South Africa, when you go to New Zealand, what you do in away ground defines you. So what happened last Saturday was very pleasing, but it was very important because we all know that the game is decided in the top, 2 inches of the hedge, and there comes a moment when everyone doubts. No matter how mentally strong you are, there comes a cracking point, and you either break or you kick on. And were we on the ropes, and were we were crumbling, or were we being absolutely walloped? We were, but thankfully mentally we didn't break as a team. And I think that's where the boys got inspired, in the fact that maybe in that dark moment when they were under the pump, they had that kind of, I'm playing for my first coach, I'm playing for my mother, I'm playing for my wife, I'm playing for my child, I'm playing for in Ultan Delan's case, I didn't ask him, but his mum and dad aren't around, so his mum isn't around, so it becomes quite deep and meaningful, I think, if there's that, I suppose, connection to family.
Ronan, the top 14 takes an 8-week break during the Rugby World Cup. If any of the major international sides were to ask you to help consult with them, would you be interested in doing something like that?
I never thought about it. It'll be a time for me to recharge the battery. I need to rest and get better. That's the most important thing. Of course, an international team. My team that I love is Ireland. Obviously, that never changes. I understand. People would say, well, that causes hassle or harm to the Irish team. It's not related for me. It's nothing to do with it. I think there's good learnings for the Irish team out of what happened last Saturday. And
is it not related? Because it's the backbone of the team. Obviously, there's a few other players who would make a significant difference. If you type Byrne in that team, it's a different challenge. Somebody who's poaching the ball, and a few others as well.
No, but it's like me saying it's not, because it's nowhere near the same management group, and so it's incomparable in my mind. It's the exact same as saying, well, it's La Rochelle with someone else coaching them. Well, then it's a different team, And I'm not trying to take the credit for myself, far from it. I just think we have a very good staff here, and we have a very good playing group. But I think, the Irish team is very, very different, because its leader is very, very different to what happens in Leinster. And that's not a slight on Leo or Stuart or Goody or any of them, because I think they're fantastic people and fantastic coaches. It's a game of tiny margins, Ger, and you know that with your experience in all sports.
Okay, so we shouldn't be too worried about the fact that there's a bit of a template for international sides to play against Leinster/Ireland.
No, because if Leinster score 1-1 score at 17-0, the game is over. They could probably go on and put 40 points on us.
Okay. So don't be stressing out just yet about the World Cup, you're telling us.
No, it's completely unrelated. There's a different absolute mindset for Ireland. It's a different level for Ireland. It's a different coaching group. It's a different playing group. For me, it's poles apart.
Okay. One last question. John Hodnett didn't make the squad after Munster's victory at the weekend. I think the whole country thought that he was going to make it. Does he sometimes faces don't fit, or is...
No, not far from it. No, I just think it's always the most competitive. John Hodnett is and it's a big compliment I'm going to give me, is all the signs of a young Sean O'Brien, and he has dog in him, and he likes the hard stuff, but he could be next up. It could change and happen very quickly for him, but he's got to be ready. Just because you haven't made it, you can be sure that there'll be probably about 3 people from outside that 42 that have a chance of making it. That's how it happens. They've picked it. 42 seems like a lot, but it's only one player outside the current group, so there will be injuries, there will be potential bolters, even at this stage, I think.
Ronan, we had Alan Quinlan in studio with us yesterday morning, and before we let you go, he had a tweet out, of course, after the Munster celebrations. If anyone spots my mum in Thomond Park tonight, tell her to go home. She's only back from Cape Town this morning and on the tear again. She told me earlier she was very tired and going to bed early, and then I get sent pictures of her in the middle of it. You replied, Mary is more cracked than you. This is obviously Mary Quinlan, Alan's mother, and Alan replied, I was no crack because I had to put you to bed every night. And that was his story he was sticking to yesterday. Do you have a comment or right of reply?
No, I think Mary and I would be cut from the same cloth. Quinny would be the minder. He's a very kind, spirited guy, but Mary Quinlan is genuinely great crack. I think France suits her, the wine suits her, and she's an absolute beaut. We have great crack. She was herself and the block, Quinny's dad, who's unfortunately passed away, were 6 hours before kick-off in Thomond Park before every game, and holy water and blessing us, but after the game she'd be, come on over here now, and we'll have an old pint. She's fantastic, a great woman, and all that group from we played, they're all still in contact, and it's fantastic. But imagine her off on a Sky to South Africa. Sorry, I lost you. I said imagine her off on a Sky to South Africa, and she's still tearing the arse out of when she comes back to Munster. It's brilliant. Go home, Mary, go home.
or don't keep it lit. Ronan, congratulations. Honestly, I presume it's beginning to seep in that what you've done is truly remarkable. Very few teams have ever managed to retain it. You know how difficult that was from your time as a player, and all the great teams that you came up against who couldn't do it, but you guys have managed that. Yeah, I'm very grateful, very appreciative. It's fantastic. Genuinely, and appreciate the good wishes. Thank you. Good stuff. Take care. Cheers. See you, lads. See you, Shane. Right, RONAN O'GARA there talking to us about the Heineken Champions Cup final.